Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Napoleon Total War 3 with this Prussian campaign. Now, before we go ahead and start, I put up a poll just to check what you guys thought about the length of the episode, and it seems like most people are comfortable with me trying to aim for at least 30 minutes for each episode, which I think is fine. And then one guy below commented about me and basically thought that I should go ahead and kind of improve how I conduct the battles by actually allowing myself to pause the battle in the middle of the battle or go to slow-mo and stuff. Stuff that I think previously I've got comments on when I used it like way in the beginning. The people thought it was cheating, and I think someone probably said it. So I've always had that in the back of my head that people thought it was cheating. So just to see what you guys think about it, I think the next battle will do that to see how that goes. With that said, however, also I think within the spirit of that is that maybe he didn't see the campaign in the same way as I see it, is that I don't mind when I have a disaster, which you probably already kind of have seen, that I don't have that big of a problem with disasters or failures, and I will not like load a save just because I lost like tons of troops or I made a mistake or anything. I think that's part of kind of the experience of the campaign, of struggling, and this is not like my campaigns are not like speed runs in the sense that I'm not trying to use Prussia and in the quickest possible way defeat France. It's more of me sort of doing like an alternate history thing, and so that's why I kind of like the failure stuff, because that's like stuff that would happen in real life. No one would just go through everything spotless if it was sort of real history. So that's why I like the failures, and you could sort of role play around the general that fails, and politicals and whatnot, and you can kind of, at least in my mind, I make this, we make this story up of how everything goes along and stuff like that. I think with that said, hopefully you kind of get an idea, more of an idea of why I allow myself to like make such failures as at the bridge. The bridge probably what you could have done there is I could have loaded, made that mistake, realized it, stopped recording, go back, load the battle again since I auto-saved before it, load the battle in again, pretend nothing happened, and then play the battle knowing that, probably shouldn't cross the bridge cross the river crossing like that, lose the 2-3 pounders and a bunch of troops and so like that. But I personally more enjoy having that initial setback, but then turning the battle around, which I think gives more character to the story that I'm trying to sort of play through here in the series. With that said, let's go on to what's going down today, which is we have a rather major problem. We have, as we've seen, quite a few setbacks throughout the campaign, and right now there are 3 French full stacks. We've got this broken down one here as well, and then we've got additional on the way. We got one here, we got Napoleon, there's probably others hiding in the forest and stuff like that. So I mean, if I unturn at this point, the French can basically bring up all of this to bear against this army, which clearly, this area is clearly not ready to withstand that kind of blow, which, I mean, that will be a massive battle, and then am I going to be able to recover before the French come back. But the thing is, like, the only option, rather than to try to fight the French, would be then to sue for peace with France, which probably wouldn't last more than a turn. But to sue for peace with France, I would have to give up a rather sizable, like I have to give them a rather sizable, what do you call it? Not contribution, but I have to give them something more than just like, because if I would now go ahead and request peace and say I would give them all my technology, I doubt they'll go ahead and agree to that. We'll add trade, but that probably doesn't do much. Payment, I don't have any money. Let's wait with regions, but most likely I'm gonna have to give them regions. Military access, I don't know if that is actually a positive thing. But obviously, yeah, they're not gonna go for that. So most likely I'll have to give up a region, which would be Klevsmark, which wouldn't be that bad. Because I don't know if the French can actually recruit troops here. And it's beginning to look a lot like, you know, I was talking about alternate history, it's beginning to look like Prussia's actual contribution during the war, being overrun in what, 19 days I think. They were overrun, completely overrun by the French. And yeah, it looks like we're going for something similar here. Or if I should duke it out, try to duke it out. There's two, I mean, these are definitely within range to go ahead and attack me. Oof. But giving up territory to France, I don't know. A fate worse than death. And this is kind of, now I'm sitting on something like, should I end turn and possibly have a disaster? Or should I try to sign a peace deal with France, or at least give me a respite to have a bit of extra troops, give me just that little bit more of replenishment. Maybe the Russian troops advance a little bit further, coming down the roads to support me. The Austrians, what have you. Me going to peace with France will definitely kind of fuck over the Austrians, since everything will be focusing on them if it is a longer peace. So there's a lot to be thought about here. But you know what? In the spirit of, you know, trying to, well, as I said, I was going to try out to, you know, pause, go to slow-mo, and do those kind of things and kind of play it the battles in a different way. I think we're actually going to end turn and let France attack us, and we're going to have this massive battle where we're going to like really focus in on destroying them in the most, like, you know, breaking them down in like breaking down all the AI mistakes and bugs and whatnot, and their common mistakes. So we'll see how you guys like that. So might just make a huge mistake here, but we're gonna enter and see what the French do. Right, so here I get an opportunity to intercept the French just crossing the bridge, which will allow me to field my larger army against the enemy. If I do not intercept them here, then he is, looks like he's right on his way to attack Dresden, and then I will be starting with these troops and having these reinforce. The upside will be that I've got a town to defend. So we're put with a choice here again to fight in the field or fight in the city. The city, you know, I could funnel the troops, the enemies, through a town, possibly. Or I could fight them out in the open, which I think, given all the cavalry the French have, it might be better to take them on the town. But if I choose the town, this army will be reinforcing, so I will have a trickle of troops coming in, so the French will start with a great advantage. So both choices are bad in their own way and good in their own way. And what should I choose? What is the best choice? Is it to field the full army out in the field to destroy them? The thing is, I'm really worried about all that heavy cavalry. Out in the open, they will just run us over. Question is if there will be any better chance holding them off in town. What I might have done was, if we knew this kind of scenario would come up, that would be to have troops transferred to the town from the general, and then left the general with basically the cannons probably they couldn't move. So at least I had started with more troops. I'm hoping I get a town here. So we're gonna decline attack. He's gonna attack the town. Oh! We had even more. Okay. Oh, that saved me. For a second or two. Right, so the situation turned worse, but also better, because they didn't go ahead. They piled on, but they didn't directly attack it. Modernized the army with a staff college, which means that I gain 2,000 gold because I completed that mission. We had 5 units being recruited, we have lots of stuff being constructed, and we have a mutiny somewhere in the... Jeez, the French just keep pouring into troops, or pouring in troops. We'll still conduct our fight against the Danish. The Danish have sent a secondary army towards Oldenburg, which we're gonna have to send all our troops. So I've got 4 units there against the Danish army, which we hope will hold. We got extra troops there. Most likely though, I'll bring this one up to defeat this Danish army first, and then I can just go on and take this one out as well. We've got some troops there. Newly recruited troops from over here, which on their own, I mean, they could... Now I leave Berlin without any defense. You know what? We should leave maybe 1 unit in Berlin, just in case, just so we don't have that problem of... which one of these is better? This one's better. Just so we don't have the problem of Berlin being without troops. We got some Prussian Fusiliers being brought in. So I mean, the French can pile troops on, but so can I. We've got the Landwehr, which is actually a pretty good unit given their stats. So the Silesian Landwehr units are actually pretty good. We'll bring them up. Any more troops that I've recruited all over the place? It's only militia out here which hold these. 1 unit here. Right. Might save the gold for a piece. Oh, look at that. Right outside of Calais, we've got a Turkish army, or an Ottoman army. I was hoping that the... Oh, Danish naval force, for some reason. That's nasty. They've got another full stack. Definitely gonna have to recruit more more troops. But now we're gonna take on this battle here, which is one hell of a battle. And we'll conduct it with I wonder if I'll have the town attack out, or if I have this guy. You know what? If we want to fight in the town, we should have the town attack these guys. And that will bring in all the reinforcements as well, because it centers the fight around this area, so the deployment will be, or all the troops that will be dragged in goes in a circle around the town. The French deploying what? They will be deploying 7,000 men roughly, while we will deploy 7,000 as well roughly. So we'll even numbers, although the French bring their A game. Huge unit of cuirassiers, more cuirassiers, loads of those light infantry units that are super deadly. Marine de la Garde, even worse. Wait, these guys, the incomparable light infantry, 28 accuracy. So this army completely deadly. This one little bit easier, and this one being the one that was kind of broken down, so a little bit easier there, but definitely it's going to be a difficult battle. And you know what? This is probably going to be one of the longer videos, so we're probably going to exceed the 30-minute mark, but I don't think you mind for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and autosave, just in case it crashes. And then we're going to go ahead and play this battle. Or maybe that I will include that into the, using pause and going to slow-mo, that I will go ahead and just present you with the best case scenario, probably just the first one I succeed, because I want to make a few more videos today. Anyways, let's go ahead and fight then. Probably not the army you expected to find here, and that because obviously I kind of realized afterwards that if the troops of the army of the city attack out, then there's obviously not going to be a town on the battlefield, because, well, they moved out of it to attack the enemy. So instead I had the larger army go ahead and attack the army that was besieging it without any problem. The only thing is that we won't get the Silesian Landwehr to come in and aid. And with that said, you can kind of see how my layup is. We've got actually the strongest troops on this side, or the Grenadiers, and then we got the biggest, or the ones that hasn't suffered that much casualties, line infantry on this side, with support or reserves in the back, 2 cavalry units back here. Gonna place this right here, hopefully to deter cavalry charges. Not only that, but these guys are gonna move forward and place stake in front of it. And with that said, we're gonna go ahead and start, have these guys run up. Enemy's gonna receive reinforcements from over here, which works fine because it's pretty far away from me. Right now, the enemy is actually doing more damage to their own men than what I am, because they're shooting straight into their own unit. So we'll hold off. I want to move the spikes kind of far ahead of where I have the cannons, just so that they don't block any shots fired by the cannon. With that, I think we're actually set to open fire. There's a ridge, unfortunately, going right in between us and the enemy, but we'll see if we can get a few cannon shots going through here. Right now, the French cannons, the only ones that are firing, I think, is actually the that ridge is more or less entirely covering the enemy, so at this point we can't actually get at them from where we are, which isn't great, given the fact that the enemy is firing upon me right now. There's like a constant fire coming in from the enemy, which isn't great. Maybe I should keep these guys out here just as a bait. We'll keep up the bombardment for a while, but then I guess we'll have to try and trigger these guys into attacking. Could try to focus in on their artillery, but I mean, it's very unlikely that we hit them. Kind of clever of the AI to actually deploy most of its troops behind the ridge. I don't think they're that clever. It's just how they're doing this time around. But somehow we need to trigger them to come and attack us. And I guess we're gonna do that with the light troops. And so, as I said, just to test it out, to see what you guys think, I am going to kind of cheat, or I'm gonna pause if I see a problem that's occurring and trying to correct it before it actually turns worse. So we got an enemy unit running up to meet us here. We're gonna focus in everything on him as he moves in within range of the rifles. And we can see if we can break this guy down. Okay, now they, I can see the horse guard is moving up. Then we'll target them. Don't want to move too far forward. We do have the spikes that we can retreat back on. I'm just gonna switch the position of these guys. So the light unit is moving back up again, ready to get shot by our Jaegers. I'm worried about that cavalry unit moving forward. So what I could do is move the grenadiers further up into the forest and then put the reserves to protect the cannons over there. So we're continuously firing on these guys. I'm gonna pull back so we keep out of range of these guys, but still being able to pound them. Definitely might need the hussars to come in and sweep these guys away if they get too close. Not entirely sure. Most of the shots seem to be absorbed by the ground from the position we are in right now. The enemy is moving away. They're getting it's still targeted by the cannons. I'm gonna let them go quite a bit away. Right now we're kind of in a ditch here, so I want to move out of that to get better shots of these guys. So up out of the ditch. There's the cavalry unit. They're back on the advance, but now the grenadiers are close by. And we've got the hussars. They're gonna hide below the ridge here. Right, the enemy is returning fire. They've only shot 2 of us. And we're definitely laying the hurt on these guys. So no, I'm not gonna pull back just yet. Enemy cavalry is moving forward, but I kind of want to trick them into coming closer, so no problem as of yet. And now the enemy infantry is actually pulling back for some reason. And so far everything's going pretty smooth. Although a bit slow. I still have the timer on, but that's of course mostly kind of to keep a check on so the episode doesn't go too long, but given the battle size you can't expect me to complete this within 30 minutes, especially since I talked a lot in the beginning of this episode as well, so that certainly don't help. We've got kind of a perfect shot angle here to bounce shots through the unit. So far I've only lost 4 men. It could be some... yeah, shots are going through and they're hitting the grenadiers, which isn't that great because they're actually losing quite a bit of men. This one has almost lost 20. So even though they're not hitting these guys, they're actually hitting my grenadiers to deal quite a bit of damage to them, which isn't great. I want to see if I can bring the hussars. There's still cavalry here, but I kind of want to scout, but also if I can just swipe out the enemy cannons, because that's gonna force them into action, and they're gonna have to come at my line, and we'll actually have a decent scrap with the froggies. Right now I can't see anything, so we're gonna continue, and we're gonna continue to a point where the French cannons can't really turn against us. They seem to be turning against the cavalry now, actually. But we're not losing that many, and coming in from the flank, we'll have a lot better chance in attacking these. I don't want to give away my attack to the AI, so I'm gonna hold from actually clicking the attack button until the last moment. And we're gonna try to get out of there as soon as possible, because we've got lots of enemy cavalry in the forest. I want to just keep them a little bit there to cut up the guys, but then skedaddle out of there as soon as possible. And that seemed to have triggered the French. Their cannons are gone. The grenadiers will take the position. Light infantry will retreat back. I probably can put them on the high hill behind. And the hussars need to retreat back. Without any enemy cannons, I can kind of push these guys over here. Seemingly the enemy is coming straight for us now. Hold. Switch to canister. Ooh, look at that. It's the huge French cuirassier unit that's charging forward. And you know what? I should have actually held fire there, I think. What we're gonna do is hopefully quickly turn these two, and I'm gonna have to respond. And the grenadiers are probably fine where they are, so go into slow-mo here as the cannons are switching to canister. The big French cavalry unit will just ride through all the spikes, it seems. There's a spike sale and the French want to buy everything. Ooh, here we go. Fah! Damn you! Boom! Worst shot, actually. Firing like that. You should be firing here. And you should be firing there. This one's gonna go better right through all of it. Still, the unit has only lost about 100 men. So still pretty sizable. I want to target some other units. Shit. There's so many. These guys gonna be close. Rifles. Ooh, where am I gonna put you, rifles? You know what? You don't always need to have them in that kind of formation. Okay, they're about to be flanked here. You gotta go into square. Ooh, I don't know if I want to go into square on these lines. I'm hoping that we can break them without going into, because they're so spread out. I think we'll be safe. Okay, canister blowing away those guys. Fire on the grenadiers. Fire on the grenadiers. They're way too close. I think the cavalry unit will be broken by that. Really don't want to lose my hussars, so they're gonna keep kiting away from the enemy.